Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝙒𝙖𝙩𝙤. Welcome to this early morning transmission with Savio Rodrigues. Both he and I are morning persons, so we figured that we will start the day by discussing something that is very important. And before we invite our guests, I want to tell you a very important announcement. We are resuming PGurus Hindi from tonight. 9 p.m. tonight, Sumit Peer and I would be talking about a very hot topic. We will let you know in a few hours via tweets. And please do join us and support us. This week, there will be 3 programs, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And these events will be on both the main channel as well as PGurus Hindi channel. We request you to subscribe to our PGurus Hindi channel. We'll give you the links so that we can start concentrating all our Hindi videos on our Hindi channel. Now, without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Savio. Hi, Savio. How are you?
Doing very good, Sri. How are you?
I'm doing well. And Savio, it's always a pleasure to listen to you and talk to you and argue with you, discuss with you, debate with you. And today we have a very important topic that has been, it's kind of coming to the front burner given the situation that is happening in Manipur, which I will just touch upon, and we'll take that thing up later. But first, we wanted to talk a little bit about this anti-conversion bill and this whole thing about why conversion isn't got lumped together by the pastor in Karnataka, where he said Hijab is wrong, Halal is wrong, and anti-conversion is also, the anti-conversion bill also is wrong. I felt that there was a certain disconnect there, why he is lumping all these 3 things together. So maybe you can explain to us what exactly was going through his mind, and also this overall concept. How does Bharat need to look at this stuff? Because this is not something that is today. It started from years ago. So I leave the floor to you. But before that, let me just play that one music thing, and then we will start this. The floor is yours, Savio.
Thank you so much, Sri. So the most important thing for us to understand is that the anti-conversion bill and the anti-conversion issue that has been raised by a large section of the Hindu population, particularly against the Christian community, because I represent the Christian community by faith, not by any designation. But I also have been doing a lot of study to try and see how we can bridge this gap of conflict that exists between the Hindus and the Christians as far as conversions are concerned. But before you bridge a gap, it's important to understand where does the genesis of the problem exist and how have people looked at conversions. Because the conversion issue that is being raised time and again in India is not something that is new. It has been raised before. Almost 100 to 90 years ago, our leaders at that point of time also raised the conversion issue at the height of communications between the people in India as well as in other nations as well. Now, let me give you a message that was given by Archbishop Peter Machado of the Archdiocese of Bangalore during the Karnataka elections. And that's very important to understand the mindset and sometimes what could be the misinformed information that goes out to people or also in one's own mind. In his message, he said, "We call upon the voters of our state to elect only such candidates who uphold and abide by constitutional values, promote communal harmony, and treat everyone equally irrespective of caste, creed, and religion. Let us send a strong message through these elections that the people of the state will not accept communal agendas like hijab, halal, azan, and anti-conversion." In fact, on the anti-conversion bill, Archbishop Peter Machado very clearly stated to the media, forced conversion is only a myth. In the disguise of preventing forced conversion, this law is actually infringing the fundamental rights of the people. It violates the right to privacy and the right to personal liberty. A person who wants to convert has to submit a lot of personal details to the government, which is a violation of his privacy. It also curtails the freedom of a woman to marry a person of their choice, irrespective of religion. This is not about fraudulent conversion. If there are forceful conversions, let the government take action. But the provisions of the Act, most of which are stringent, violate the fundamental rights of citizens. We challenge these provisions. So basically, what he's saying that anything that is done for the poor and socially advantaged sections can be interpreted as an attempt at religious conversion. Institutions, including schools, colleges, hospitals of the Christian church, can come under scrutiny for offering charity. That's his fear that he propagated. Now, let me give you a quote of one of the most uh, respected political and social leaders of India, not only in India, but all around the world. This gentleman said in Bihar in 1925, 8 October 1925, Christian missionaries have been doing valuable services for generations. But in my humble opinion, their work suffers because at the end of it, they expect conversion of these simple people to Christianity. However nice it would be if the missionaries rendered humanitarian service without an ulterior aim of conversion. The gentleman is Mahatma Gandhi, who made this statement in 1925, 98 years ago. Now, let me tell you more that he said. In 1927, 14th July 1927, he said to the Young India magazine at that point of time on the missionary works in India, it is customary to decree other religions to offer their own as the only one that can bring deliverance. That attitude should be radically changed. Let them appear to people as they are and try to rejoice in seeing Hindus become better Hindus and Muslims as better Muslims. Let them start to work at the bottom. Let them enter into what is best in their life and offer nothing inconsistent with it. That is what Gandhi is saying. That if you want to come in, you make a person be a better Hindu, be a better Muslim. Why do you need to convert him? In fact, he goes on further in 1931, which was on 23rd April. He goes on to further state, every nation considers its own fate to be as good as that of any other. Certainly, the great fates held by the people of India are adequate for her people. India stands in no need of conversion from one faith to another. Mahatma Gandhi is making it very implicitly clear way back in 1931 that India stands in no need from conversion from one faith to another. Then he goes on to amplify this statement. So he says, let me now amplify this bold statement. I hold that proselytizing under the cloak of humanitarian work is, to say the least, unhealthy. So the humanitarian work which is done, which is the front end for the proselytization, is considered unhealthy by Mahatma Gandhi himself. Right? So he further goes on. It's most certainly resented by people here as in people in India. Religion, after all, is a deeply personal matter. It touches the heart. Why should I change my religion because a doctor who professes Christianity as his religion has cured me of some disease? Or why should the doctor expect or suggest a change whilst I'm under his influence? Is not his medical relief its own reward and satisfaction? Or why should I, whilst I'm in a missionary educational institution? He's being very implicit and picking
I
up
think
the
you meant
points which are
explicit.
given problems today.
Savio, I think you mean explicit.
Sorry, explicit. Or very firm in what he's saying.
Right.
Christian teaching upon me, in my opinion, these practices are not uplifting and give rise to suspicion, if not even secretly hostility. The methods of conversion must be like Caesar's wife, above suspicion. That's exactly what he's saying. So just because you run a healthcare, just because you run education, that doesn't give you a right to convert. So why has he raised this issue at that point of time? People have been talking today that conversion is predominantly BJP's agenda. That is what the general perception created. The BJP RSS agenda is Hindu Rashtra, Hindu supremacy. I don't know which part of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was about Hindu supremacy. He is seen as one of the most secular and right-thinking individuals, not only in India but globally. He is, after all, the father of the nation. And he himself has raised issues of conversion. So in a letter sent to the editor of Daily Herald in London on 23rd 4th 1931, he's clearly stated, I am certainly against the use of hospitals, schools, and the like for purposes of conversion. This is a letter to the Daily Herald of London. It is hardly healthy method and certainly gives rise to bitter resentment. Conversion is a matter of heart and must depend upon silent influence of pure character and conduct of missionaries. So basically, he is saying India is in no need of conversion of any kind.
Yes.
Right? So having put that right at the start, now let's discuss the issue of the conversion issue and how certain sections of the Christian community, whether it's the Catholic Church, whether it's the Protestants, whether it's the Baptists, whether it's the Pentecostals, whether it's the believers, they have been using the idea of conversion for a very long time in India. If you look at certain sections of the Northeast, for example, if you study the history of Nagaland and how they were converted, on the history of Meghalaya, Manipur, and the rise of Christianity in those areas, you will realize that the attempt of the Christian community has always been to proselytize, either by a direct connection with people who genuinely feel that their faith is better than their indigenous faith, or by force or by allurement. And this is something that we have witnessed throughout. It is not something that's happening now. In fact, you had issues of conversions being raised now, as I pointed out, way back in 1925, which is almost 98 years to 100 years also, that long. So what is the issue? The issue is that Christianity and Islam have always been strong because of proselytization. They come into a land where there are indigenous people. They bring their religion to those people, and sometimes people willfully or sometimes people by force get converted to that religion. And it is very systematically done. If you look at what has happened to the Northeast, the indigenous aspect of the religions in Northeast is completely gone in most places. It needs to be revived. The conflict that you are seeing in Manipur today, which is clearly evident, is that there is a conflict based on religion over there, where the majority Christian, some of the miscreants in the Kuki Christian community, is actually targeting the tribal Hindu community that primarily wants a reservation because they are the minorities in that region, and they asked for the reservation, which the court was willing to give them. And that is where the conflict started. So now the general creation, what they're trying to do is to create that the Indian Hindu majority is against the Christians. That is the fear psychosis that they are creating, and that is the negative image that they want to create around the world. But it's very interesting, and I find that strange, because Christian theologians and very learned Christian leaders themselves, like St. Augustine, propagated a concept known as just war. Now, just war was a concept where they had found reasons to defend their faith, to defend attacks on innocents. So if you go by what they actually said, let me read it out to you, okay, on what the just war theory was all about. In his book, The City of God, St. Augustine expressed, a state has a high authority in their view, and if the response to evil and aggression met specific criteria, it would be deemed just and the individual could participate. True religion looks upon as peaceful those wars that are not waged for motives of cruelty, but with object of securing peace, punishing those who do evil, and of supporting good. Basically, the just war theory, as it appears in the Christian tradition, allows a Christian state to go to war to defend itself and the faith, or to right a wrong that has been perpetrated against itself or the faith. Now, if today the Indian government that represents a majority of Hindus and decides that it is essential to protect the indigenous faith of this country, would that not be considered to be just in the definitions of the just war put forward by the Catholic Church itself?
Yes, indeed, it does. It
Now,
does.
if you read what Thomas Aquinas himself has said, who's another founding father of the just war theory, he's also talking about the same thing, that it is better to kill war with words than to kill humans beings with a sword. Yet he said that a war sometimes is an unfortunate duty waged to restore peace. So today, in the European world, in the Arabian world, when Christianity was threatened by other religions at that point of time, Islam being one of them, and the other, what the Christians called, paganism at that point of time, they found that it was just to defend it. So my argument or my reasoning with the Christian church leaders and the Indian government as well, that it is just to protect the faith of the indigenous people. Otherwise, look at what America did to the red Indians in America.
Native Indians, yeah.
The Native Indians, right? They were the true custodians of that land and of that indigenous culture, till the white man came and usurped that culture, right? It completely destroyed the Native Indians. So what is wrong today? And this is my question to the church leaders as well, because I have not said it. Mahatma Gandhi himself, way back in 1925, is talking about the same problem. So how?
We seem to have momentarily lost Savio. Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
How are you attributing that problem only to the BJP and the RSS? Mahatma Gandhi did not belong to the RSS, no? These are issues raised by Mahatma Gandhi almost 98 years ago. So today I would like to ask the church leaders and the certain members of the Christian community, if a Hindu believes that it is essential to defend his faith and uses law to create a law to protect the indigenous faith and to protect every other faith from conversion, what is so wrong in that?
So true. In fact, I want to kind of update quickly to our viewers what is happening in Manipur. And I just have a quick slide deck. See, Manipur is one of those states that is still on the edge, in the sense, I think it is 55% Hindu and 45% is more or less Christian. These are all tribes that are supposed to be in the hill tracts, and the Meiteis, who are the Hindus, the Vaishnavites, they are in the plains. Now, what is happening is on the 3rd of May, the High Court of Manipur ruled that scheduled tribe category can be given to the Métis. What
Correct.
is the problem of the cookies that Métis are getting a scheduled tribe classification? It's not the government, it's the court that has done it. The court has seen merit in this. Then why should they take up arms? Now, there is one big problem right now, Savio. Internet is completely cut off. Whatever information we are getting is sketchy. Yesterday, 2 commandos and 5 policemen were injured, and countless number of people have died. And what is happening is the Métis are fighting by coming to the streets. We've just momentarily lost Savio, but he will rejoin. The Métis are coming and fighting on the streets, but there are snipers believed to be supporting the cookies who are essentially picking people off one by one. And it is very. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. So I was just telling that the Hindus or the Métis have been on the streets agitating, but what is happening is there are many snipers lodged in forests as well as in treetops. They are picking the protesters one by one. They are also setting fire to many villages. The idea
Yes.
here appears to be to try and drive towards an administrative district council for these tribes, who most of them happen to be Christian, and slowly but steadily, drive towards a state, that is by bifurcating Manipur. Now, the challenge in front of the government is that it is not just the tribal. The tribals didn't suddenly become armed and dangerous. This is being uh,
Planned.
supported by the Arakan army across the border from Myanmar. And who's supporting the Arakan army? It's the CCP. And
Correct.
and the problem, I was just telling that when your line got cut off, Savio. See, Hindus are on the streets, but what can they do when they are getting cherry picked by the snipers? Yesterday, I read
Correct.
another news that 30 terrorists have been killed. But again, this is very sketchy. There is no way to confirm it. I am not able to get information from the ground. We have information as of 29th May, which I just shared with you all. But this is an ongoing war right now. Literally, it's a war. So,
You see,
I mean, go ahead.
let me share my view on what's happening over there.
Yeah.
And it's very important because there have been videos circulating amongst the Christian community since the Manipur violence has erupted, where even some foreign preachers and pastors have been raising this issue, talking about Christians being in danger as far as Manipur is concerned, and how the Indian government is attacking the churches in Manipur, attacking the Christians in Manipur. This is what the real story is, what they're portraying. But that's not the truth. The truth is that this conflagration has initiated because the mighty Hindus wanted to have their rights, which is fair in terms of the reservation that they demanded. And the court also agreed to their demands. So where is the conflict arising? The conflict is arising from the majority Christians. Some within that group of the cookie Christians are creating the trouble. Now that trouble has to be investigated as to why. How did they land up with such sophisticated weapons? That is a question that needs to be investigated. What we also did, and did rather poorly, is we didn't focus on it at the initial stage itself. The Indian government got into the Manipur issue at least 4 or 5 days later, but Manipur was burning before that. You see, I've said this before and I keep saying it. The only way that you can break India is through communal conflagrations. Now, knowing that Northeast was suddenly getting little better, there was focus of the Indian government on the Northeast. There was some amount of confidence that the Northeasterns were getting as far as the Indian government was concerned, as far as the inclusiveness was concerned with the rest of India. You have this Manipur violence triggering off, creating a little bit of uneasiness, a little bit of fear, and conflict, because when there is conflict, there's obviously going to be a ricochet effect as far as economic activity is concerned, because people don't get about being economically strong at that point of time. So the idea is to create blocks in India of communal conflagrations. So you will see this in Manipur, you will see something else happening in another state as well pretty soon. That's how they think. Now, why is this the first time that is happening involving Christians? Because normally the conflict is between the Muslim and the Hindus. But even now you're seeing this is between the Christians and the Hindus, primarily because the Hindus are a minority in Manipur. If you actually go to see, it's the Christian majority that is dominating the Christian population. Though their numbers are almost the same, there's a few variants here and there. The Hindus are still, the tribal Hindus are like minorities over there, because they don't belong in the main cities that control the economic activities over there, right? So conversion becomes a problem. Why is conversion a problem? Conversion is a problem because it alters the civilizational existence of a place. The civilizational values, the cultural values of that place gets altered with conversions. More importantly, conversions then take you away from what is intrinsically your connect to that nation. You start wondering whether your allegiance needs to be with, say, in case of the Roman Catholic faith, with the Pope or the Vatican. Today, these bishops that are there, they are ambassadors of the Vatican, and Vatican is a separate nation on its own. I'm not saying questioning whether they are loyal to India or not. I'm just saying that you are an ambassador of another nation. So today, this fear psychosis that they are creating about conversion, that BJP and RSS is about conversions, against conversion. I'm sorry. This is not something that is new. This is something that existed. And people that they believe in, the liberals like to believe in Mahatma Gandhi much more. They quote Mahatma Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi talks about, you should love like Mahatma Gandhi and things like that he's raised before. That was the essence of this country. Then Mahatma Gandhi himself has raised the issue. Are you going to question Mahatma Gandhi's principles now? What was he afraid of 98 years ago that we are still afraid of today? That fear was not unfounded, no? It's the same issues that are being raised today in 2023, what he has raised in 1925. So somewhere this problem has to be nipped in the bud, or is going to continue. And we are going to lose the civilizational existence of Bharat.
Absolutely. And we all know that now Manipur is under Article 355, which means the state home ministry is under the control of Sri Amit Shah in the center. So we have to wait and see how quickly the normalcy is restored. But clearly, the way they are going about selectively burning houses here and there, selectively picking villages, kind of gives you a hint that they are working towards a different end game.
Plan.
And this is where this needs to be really stopped. And in my personal opinion, nobody should be begrudging somebody else getting a scheduled tribe status. This is none of somebody else's business. The High Court has gone through the whole thing. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think one of the most important things for us to realize, you see, you have to look at the timing. Okay, you had Prime Minister Narendra Modi creating, building bridges with the Christian community in Kerala, and also visiting the cathedral in Delhi on Easter. So he was building a bridge with the Christian community. In the Karnataka election, the Christian community, led by the Jesuits to be more precise, decided to work on a strategy which was exercise your right to vote, come out in large numbers and vote the BJP out. That was what the agenda was in Karnataka. Simultaneously, you had this conflagration that is happening in Manipur, which is again the Christian and the Hindus. What is the entire intent of this entire triangle that you are seeing. It is to show that the Christian community, which is written about and cared about more internationally, because the Muslims and the Christians are cared. Today, a Hindu dies, nobody cares about him in the international space. Nobody
Oh, you
bothers
saw
to
the
write.
yesterday that 16-year-old girl being stoned to death by one
Yeah.
guy. It's on a main street. People are just walking, going past it as if nothing has happening. I am stunned at the apathy of the people who are there. You saw that video, right?
Yes, I did.
We
I'm not
both have
stunned by that
daughters.
because this
It's
is
a
how they. I'm not stunned by it because this is the same India in a train where a young girl was raped on New Year's Day many years ago, if you remember, in Bombay. And there were
yes,
people
yes,
sitting inside the train and nobody did anything. In fact, there was a journalist who was a stringer with one of the leading publications at that point of time, and he writes a story that I couldn't do anything. I saw this, but I was scared, and some nonsense he's written of that nature. And a journalist doing that. And then you had the social circle of Mumbai coming out in support of this journalist, saying that at least he had the courage to write about it. I said, what are you going to do with what you've written in the newspaper? Why don't you wrap it up and whack yourself with it on your head? Because it was no point. You shouldn't help that girl over there who was getting raped. You could have intervened, just like in the case yesterday, where this girl was stabbed, brutally stabbed, and there are people. There was just one person who made an attempt to stop him. If you look at that video, and he also went
yes.
away when this guy was aggressive, right? The reason is that the hate. See, that's my problem. My problem is there is this attempt to just get a lot of hate into people. Now, I'm sure that this conflict has got something to do with rage that is led because of some sort of a hate that is there between the communities over there. Let the investigation come out for us to know the real reason behind the incident. But there is a lot of rage in this country, and a lot of rage because of religious differences that have been permeated by certain members within the community as well as religious leaders themselves. So why are you doing that today? When a priest tells a Christian that you have to vote against anti-conversion, would the Christian states, and I've said it before, the Christian states have been defending through just wars and through holy wars their beliefs. You are creating the division. Religious leaders are creating the division. The minority religious leaders in different communities are spreading hate indirectly in a very clandestine, subtle manner. I don't think the Indian government or any Hindu for that matter is out here standing with a sword to kill the Christians and the Muslims. They are not doing that. But don't expect the Hindus to sit quiet when you demonize them, or when you come and attack a Hindu girl like this in broad daylight, and expect them to keep quiet. Because I myself will not keep quiet. I will stand with the Hindus for it. This constant demonizing of the Hindus is what's disturbing. It is aimed at destabilizing the civilizational existence of the Hindus, just like they did it with the Jews. Wasn't the Catholic Church complacent of its support when the Jews were being exterminated
Yes.
in Germany, Nazi Germany? They kept quiet. Individual fathers may have done their bit, but the Catholic Church as an institution kept quiet for large part of
Yes,
the problem. Why? Because
absolutely.
they were Jews.
See, this is not going to stop, and we are going to start questioning some of these statements from community leaders of minority communities, that you have to now stop preaching this divisiveness of this communal behavior, and you need to start integrating with the mainstream. Everybody is a Sanatani. You may have a different religion. This is important to realize, and I think that's where the education of people is key. I hope the congregation start understanding that it doesn't serve anyone when hate is being spread. Then when there is no hate to start with, the madrasas, I don't think the church is that bad. I mean, madrasas, they are telling you that you have to kill a kuffar. In fact, by the way, you are a kuffar or a kafir too. It's
Yeah,
not just
I'm
me.
aware.
You are too. So
And I've had the 𝙒𝙗𝙤𝙦 ke juda on my head for quite some time right now. ever since I've
That would
experienced
be
Islam's
your best friend.
radicalism. So no, the problem is, I'll tell you, Sri, in a nutshell. Okay, I believe that a Christian contributes to nation building very effectively, and they've been doing that for years. Unfortunately, some of them have been told and constantly been led to believe that a Hindu majority government is against the interest of the Christian community. Okay? I don't see that to be true. Conflict exists, and conflict will exist in every part of the world where there is religion, because everybody has got a personal ego to prove that his religion is better than the other. Right? Especially with the Abrahamic religions, there is a tendency to want to say that my way is the only way and you're on a wrong highway. That's basically what it is. Right? So there is going to be conflict. Now look at the case that is in Supreme Court at this point of time itself. Reportedly, the ones who filed the case, the Christian organizations that filed the case, they have reported 495 cases of atrocities that would have happened in 21-22. Out of that 495 cases, about some 250 odd were cases that were not even registered in any government authority institution, like say a police station for that matter, or with any government office that looked into issues like this, right? About 250 odd was not even reported. Out of the remaining cases of 200 more cases that were there, 75 were disputes that were about land dispute, property dispute, COVID conflict that happened because of COVID, uh, and some superstitious related conflict that happened between people. 75 cases was of that. And 155 cases were the actual FIRs filed in 8 states. And this is the affidavit that's filed by the government, the center, in the court, the Supreme Court, where this case is going on. So out of 155 actual cases of conflict that existed, which are being investigated at this point of time, are you telling me that 2 crore population of Christians in India are in danger? In that case, the Jews living in America should be in the most danger, because on an average, the hate crimes against the Jews go into numbers of 1,000, 1,500 in America. In UK, it's about another 2,000. In Canada, it's about 400 to 300 to 400. Should those hate crimes, Jews be considered to be unsafe in those countries, democratic upholding nations, democracy upholding nations? So why do you black label India against minorities, when India is the only country that provides you that residence, that citizenship to profess your faith without interfering with somebody else's faith? The problem with the Muslims in India, for example, and I'll say it as crude as possible and they can get offended, but it's the truth. You will never be like the Arabs. The Arabs consider themselves to be true Muslims. You are converted Muslims. You are second-class Muslims to them. You are Rafiq. You are not a Sadiq to them. Then those who understand the difference in the Arab world know it. Yet, you prefer allegiance to a foreign power, a foreign entity, over your country. That is why you want to bring Islamic jihad into this country. That is why you want this country nurtures you. This country loves you. This country has given you what you are, your identity as an Indian. The Arab world will never give you an identity. You call the others who belong to other religions as kafirs. My Indian Muslims, sisters and brothers, must understand, to the Arab world, you are a kafir.
Correct.
You are a fajir. You should know
Very
the
true.
difference
Very
between
true.
that.
Well,
The same thing with Christians. The same thing with Christians. They always went to the tribals and the lowest of the people because they felt that the Brahmins and the others were basically committing atrocities on them, on the tribals. But at the end of the day, what did you do after taking your God to them? You went and took away their indigenous cultures away from them. You did the same to the native Indians. Are the native Indians in existence in America anymore? They're just a small tribe. There were so many people that were killed. In Canada, we saw horrific things that were connected to the church, and then the church came
Yes.
out and apologized. So the institution can go wrong. You might believe in the faith, and I find it very strange, because Jesus gave his followers just two commandments. Out of the 10 commandments that existed in the Old Testament, he just gave the followers of Jesus two commandments: love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Nobody has ever seen God. Your only reflection of God is a manifestation of God. That is your parents, your brothers and sisters, nature, your friends, your animals, the water, the air. These are manifestations of the energy of God. Love your neighbor as yourself has a two-pronged step to it. You have to love yourself first before you love your neighbor. You have to love yourself before you love your neighbor, which means you have to find the God within you. That's exactly what Jesus is saying. Find the God within you and around you. Then the church came about and institutionalized and put everything out, and it became an institution, and an institution is of people. And people have biases, people have ego, therefore they can go wrong. They can make errors, and they made glaring errors, for which the church is apologizing in different parts of the world. For its inquisition in certain parts of the world, the church has apologized, but it's not apologized in Goa yet. But it was wrong. As we develop, as the world moves ahead, religion would have to be more in this age. It's called the age of Aquarius. People will now start questioning every knowledge that is there, because they will seek more knowledge, they will seek more clarity. And that is what the church and Islamic leaders must understand, that people today will not sit quiet, and the Hindus must also wake up to the truth. And that truth is that the defense of your civilizational existence lies with you. It lies with your Sanatan Dharma. If you cannot defend and protect your Sanatan Dharma, your very civilizational existence will become nothing. You will not exist.
Savio, with your permission, I have only one or two questions. We'll just run through those questions. Sure. Rahul Rathod wants to know why central government is not passing anti-conversion bill, because most of the state governments don't pass state laws for appeasing minorities, and any updates on the UCC.
Well, I have no answer to why the anti-conversion bill has not been passed to the center now, but I believe there are talks to that nature. UCC, I think, will see the light of day sooner than expected.
Thank you, sir. Next one from Ragzi Boy. Proselytizing is the biggest divisive force. If we don't have these conversion programs, the Hindus and Christians can work together against the real enemy, Islam. Your thoughts?
Well, I personally believe the Christians and the Hindus must work together, because there is a lot of synergy in the belief of humanity. Yes, a certain aspect of Christianity does follow a very aggressive proselytization, but in principle, it is a more humanitarian way of working, just like Sanatan Dharma followers. It's driven by humanitarian work. I have found in most cases, in the Middle East, it seems to be good, but in India, it seems to be very aggressive, which is why I feel the converts tend to be the most aggressive,
Yes.
proselytizers of the faith, rather than the ones who are born into that faith, because it is as though they want to prove something, that I'm really worth being a part of this religion, so I have to prove myself. I don't think you have to prove anything to God, really. I think God is something that is personal within you, and it's within around you, which with the community or the society that you belong to. You can believe in a stone and turn out to be a good person, and that is good enough. It's like I was sitting once at a place, and this overzealous guy comes up to me and says, brother, have you found Jesus? So I looked at him absolutely in an irritated face and told him, I said, how irresponsible you are. How can you have lost Jesus? Don't you know how important Jesus is? Because the Jesus I know is very much with me at home. I don't know which Jesus you lost. So you better be responsible the next time. So he was a little stunned. He didn't know what hit him. And I told him, I said, see, then we had a long conversation. Of course, he didn't agree with what I had to say. And he said, people like you are reasons why people are questioning Christians. I said, no, people are me who are questioning what should be the way forward that Jesus spoke about. Because Jesus' teachings were not wrong. Maybe the institution got it wrong. It's like a stone in water, It can be surrounded with water, but the water never penetrates the stone. That's exactly Jesus' thoughts in the Christian church.
Well, very interesting conversation, Savio, and thank you so much. Viewers,
My
please
pleasure.
like, share, and sorry, I cut you off.
No, my pleasure, I said. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. We are about 50% viewers are subscribers. So in this program, only 1 in 2 of you are actually subscribing to our channel. I request you to subscribe so that you get automatic notifications of all the video content we put out there. Once again, thanks, Savio. Have a great day.
I just want to share just one parting note said by Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi in 1935. Okay.
Yeah.
But my trouble is that the missionary friends do not bring to their work a purely humanitarian spirit. Their object is to add numbers to their fold, and that is why they are disturbed. The complaint which I have been making all these years is more than justified by what you say. Some of the friends of a mission were the other day in a high glee over the conversion to Christianity of a learned Pandit. They have been my dear friends, so I told them that it was hardly proper to go into ecstasies over a man forsaking his religion. This is Gandhi in 1935. Right? Thank you so much, Sri. It's such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
God bless.
Thank you. Bye. God bless you.